Peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the EntreMusician, and so are you. And so is this brother who's sitting to my left on screen. Let me tell you something. I guess you can say that if we at the EntreMusician are going to have a regular contributor to what we're doing, it's absolutely going to be Jerry Thompson, because he is the consummate EntreMusician. And I'm going to tell you a couple things about him that you did not know. We're going to have a great conversation. But before we do that, as you know, everything we do is sponsored by the wonderful people at Vocal. And here's what's important. Jerry Thompson is the founder of Vocal. And we said all the time, Vocal is the only beverage on the planet. I didn't see him hold that up. It's the only beverage on the planet which is designed to soothe, refresh, and restore your voice. If you talk all day like I sometimes do, if you sing all night like Jerry and some of the musicians and artists he works with do, this is why he designed it. We're going to get into Vocal a little bit more today, but you got to go to drinkvocal.com. You got to do it. Go to drinkvocal.com to learn more. And now we talk to the man behind the product, Mr. Jerry Thompson. What's happening, brother?
Hey, life is going on. We're making it. Looking a little scruffy. You got the COVID look, got the hat on. Haven't been able to get a haircut. I'm not used to this, but hey, I'm not going nowhere, so it'll work while it works.
It's amazing because of this COVID situation, unfortunately, a lot of the traveling that you normally do has been kind of grounded. A lot of the appointments that you make. We talked a little bit about that last time, but on the good side of things, we're able to get you in for another interview. So I'm personally happy about that.
That's very true. You know what? Because you say it, a little bit of it, all of it has been grounded. I've been down March the 13th, I think is the last time I've been out for my other job. And so I've had nothing but time to, honestly, like you say, to get many things that should have been done a long time ago. I have had the time to get a lot of these things done. So, it's the good, it's perspective.
Sure.
It's good on one side. It's bad for the people who are suffering and so on and so forth. And we keep them in our prayers. But
absolutely.
Been able to get a lot of things accomplished. Yes. Including growing a beard.
It's the both sides of the coin. As you said, there's a lot of real suffering out there that's happening, and our hearts do go out to those families and to those people who are underneath it. On the flip side of the coin, the things that you needed to get to, the things that needed to be taken off the shelf and put on production line, you're able to do that. And on, those of us who groom themselves, it's been good because we haven't missed a beat. There's so much, man. There's so much, Jerry, that I want to get into you. And when I say this, people who are watching, I'm not saying this as a way to try to brown nose this brother. My nose is brown enough. I'm not trying to make him blush. But here's the thing. And Jerry, the last time we talked here on this platform was back in December. Wow. And we were looking forward to 2020, and you and I, both of us being men of faith, we were speaking and declaring, and we were making proclamations into what we wanted this year, 2020, to be about. We didn't know anything about COVID at the time, at least coming into the United States. A few little dribbles about what was going on in China. But here's what makes me admire you so very much. And I mean this. The first thing is even though this situation has come upon us, quarantine, a lot of things that you've had to be flexible about, you, my friend, continue to keep the needle moving. Not only have you relaunched Vocal like you said you would, not only have you really beefed up your studio that you have down in Girard, Ohio. You've included a mastering room. You've had a mastering room installed. And there are some business ventures that you and your wife have moved forward through and onto, even though we are in this worldwide pandemic. That's what makes me admire you, brother.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm going to say. It takes one to know one. And I mean that with all respect, because you're an example to me to keep moving, to always keep moving. Yeah, we have those things that have said. Actually, I put in a mastering room down at Listen Studio. Um, actually, have had the opportunity to get back in and actually write some music. Oh my God, nothing more than I love than recording and the recording aspect of it, and not me as an artist or anything in that line. But man, there's nothing like sitting behind that board and capturing vocals, capturing drums, or whatever we're capturing at that time for the different people. So that's been great. And then most important, and I'm saying most important kind of to me, is again, I'm still talking about vocal, just getting some things in line so that now I have no excuse. I have no excuse, people, that you can't and won't be able to get the product. And so we're moving forward, and you got to keep moving. It's a perspective. Um, I think it's all comes down to perspective, because we can all be down in the dumps because, oh, this is not happening, that's not happening. Well, what's the good side? The good side is we have more time than many of us have said. Man, if I only had more time.
Got it now.
Yeah, you got it. You got it. Plus, so getting things done. Supposed to get things done. So we'll
Well,
continue.
let's begin with vocal, especially for the benefit of those who may not have listened to the December podcast, just to give a brief history of how vocal got started and what's the plan and vision, who it's for, etc.
Okay, I will, and cut me off if I get long-winded, because once I start talking about my baby, because it is my baby, it has been my baby for quite some time. Of course, vocal. It first originated actually at the studio at Listen Studios, and had different people coming in to record vocals and whatever we're recording, and everybody would have their different concoctions to take care of their voice. Had that aha God moment that says, how do they know what they're drinking is good for them? And with all the people who use their voice for their livelihood, why hasn't anybody bottled anything just for that particular purpose? Me and my wife had the conversation. I won't give you the whole story, but I ran just what I said to you past her, and she said, "Jerry, did you hear what you just said?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "You know what? All the people come in. Why hasn't anybody bottled anything? Why hasn't anybody created anything for the voice? For people to use?" She says, "Jerry, you're talking, but you're not listening." Husband and wife, we're 38 years, and it's only how husband and wife can understand this one. So it's like, you're not listening. And I said it again, and when I said it again, wow, that's when that God moment became. And vocal, literally, that would have been the genesis of it. At that time, we called it Vocal Tea. And me and the missus, we went back home, and we're actually starting to formulate blends of honey. Honey is the base of it. Honey and lemon, and just remedies that people would say that are good for your voice. We came up with our first blend. Fast forward, moved to a manufacturer. Manufacturers helped us to increase its effectiveness and that it would be blended properly. That would be the second rendition. Third iteration of the product, moved to another manufacturer who had us look at it from a different perspective, did the scientific work and everything that says why this is good for the voice. And fast forward, and I'm giving it the fast version.
Good.
Now we're finally on the fourth iteration of the product, and that is what you see now and what you see in Jerry's hand in vocal. We have
You're about to see me like crack open and like, dude.
We have the two flavors. We have the honey lemon and the honey mint. Yeah. And this was created for anybody who uses their voice. So, Jerry, that we're talking about, obviously, honey mint. Yeah. For singers, speakers, orators, those who are actors, politicians. It could be coaches. It could be, I'm a presenter, okay, and I present. Last year, I was out 32 weeks out of the year in front of my colleagues, and I'm presenting in front of my colleagues. That could be anywhere from 30 to 50 people. I am projecting. I'm a mover. I'm a screamer when I'm projecting. And this is what it was made for. When you get that raspiness or that hoarseness, or you just get that itch in your voice, I'm telling you, vocal right here. And
That's
we
right.
don't make no medical claims. We're not making medical, but it soothes, refreshes, and it restores that throat, and it makes it clear, and you can keep on going. You
That's right.
can keep on going. And so that's what it was made for. Actors, actresses, anybody who's watching. I'm saying this, try it, give it a try. If you go to www.drinkvocal.com, you'll still see our front or our splash page, but you can contact me through that page, and I will get back to you until the site comes up official. And once it comes up official, all the buying methods and how we're going to do it will be available. But if you hit me at www.drinkvocal, it will come right to where it's supposed to come. I'll get back with you and give you the options now that you can use to actually get the product. Right now, because the site is not launched, our prices are what they're supposed to be. But once the site launches, then we got to go full price, because it's time for that to happen. So
That's excellent. Now, you had something idea. I hope I'm not being premature in speaking it, but you were going to launch a gig pack.
yes,
Is that
yes,
right?
yes, yes. And no, not too premature, because that's actually something we'll put out first, where for those who are not familiar with the product, we'll offer what we call a gig pack. And the gig pack will be a box of 3 bottles of vocal, and you can either get all honey lemon, or you can get all honey mint, or you can mix it however you want it to come, and we'll get it out to you. And this is for those, because some people will say, well, how do we know it's good? How do we know it works? Well, this is a good way to do it without having to buy a case or a large number of it, is
Yeah.
a gig pack. So that will be coming up. We're right at May, aren't we? We're right at the May almost. So
We're right here. Yeah.
yeah, right at the beginning of May, you're going to see us offering the gig pack of vocal, and putting it out. It's on Facebook. It's on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, all those places that everybody is at. Get on there, check it out. Just you could do hashtag vocal, and we'll come up, I'm pretty sure. And even if you have interest, go in, like the page, and then share the page, because I know, and Jerry, you talk to a lot of EntreMusicians, singers, those who are gigging and those type of things. Musicians listen to musicians. So if you share, if you're not the singer, your friends who are, they're going to look on your, and they'll grab it, and, we can go from there. So kind of the quick and dirty on the vocal story. But this is not something that's new. And so this is not a new product. I got to say this real quick. This started back in 2009, and we're in 2020, and it has taken that time with the ups and downs and those things that we face as EntreMusicians.
Right.
Ups and downs.
Hurdles.
Yes. The learning curve, the learning experience for us to get to the 4th iteration, but we are there now, and we are ready. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited. It would be so great that once my other job opens up, which is planning on in June, it would be so nice to say, you know what, I'm not coming back, because I'm working with vocal full time, and that's a dream. That's a dream. The dream can come true. So following it to happen, if it's not in June, it's going to happen. I believe within this year, where my full dedication could be to the product vocal, because people, once they try it, they're going to enjoy it that much. So.
But EntreMusicians like yourselves, I mean, really based in the entrepreneurial mindset, is you have what seems to me so many various irons in the fire. I don't know how you keep the balance on point. I mean, I know with and this other job he's talking about, we talked about it before in December, but just a quick hit is FBI Leeda, and Jerry Thompson is a presenter with him, keeps him really going, because your background is in law enforcement, but your background is also in recording engineering, because you have a degree from the recording workshop as well. You're just there. So tell us a little bit about the recording workshop and about your studio listen and the mastering room you just put in.
Well, though there's, you said law enforcement, I got to throw that out. One
Yeah.
of the things that we back in 1987, and even when I say that, sometimes it kind of like scares me because people say 1987. That's why he looks so old. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was already in the workforce by then, for sure. But back in 1987 is when I had the opportunity to go down to the recording workshop down in Chillicothe, Ohio. I'm giving props to them down there, and actually learned about engineering. And back then, man, we're working analog, so we're working with tape, and we're cutting and splicing, and with the razors and that kind of stuff. So that is where the music started. But even before then, I was in several singing groups, local singing groups, some that did some traveling, not nothing major, but always have been involved with music. It comes from the gospel end because that's how I grew up in my family. And even as a family, that's where it really started, is because we were known as the Thompson singers. And then it just continued to grow from there. From there, once I went to the recording workshop, I still was started to record some groups. I actually built my first studio in my home. It was actually in my home. And I had a lot of people coming through. My kids were starting to grow up, and my wife, she was like, this ain't gonna work. You got to get out of here, because too many people were coming through the house, and you actually had to come through the house to get into the studio at that time. So that led, and I'm giving you short versions of long stories because I can
Okay.
tell them.
All good.
But that led to the Listen Studio, the building in Girard, Ohio, because it was time to go. Was doing more, had the opportunity at that time to be able to purchase the studio, and God and His amazing wisdom worked it out, and sure enough, went down and purchased. Now watch, all this comes together because, again, I said this earlier, is that vocal came about right there at Lucent Studio,
Yeah.
where Jerry is at right now.
Right.
I'm
That's right.
there. Let's see.
You're in your
I'm at,
humble abode, and I'm here at Listen.
but that's how it all came about. So music is a love, and I still love music. I love to record, and so from that, you asked me two questions, and I'll move from that. Studio's been in place, I want to say, I think it's been down there almost since 2008. I'm
Mhm.
thinking somewhere around there,
7
because
or 8 for sure.
yeah, yeah, because vocal was 2009. I'm positive on that, and always said that. Going to keep it moving, make it available for those who want to come in, and we can grab what we want to grab, do the projects that we want to do.
That we want to do, yeah.
Yeah, that we want to do, and then do projects for other people.
Right.
Uh, then coming about, of course, we got friends, and I can say Angel, my nephew, and others. They all had always said, "Man, you should make that back room a mastering room." I said, "Yeah. Gonna do it." But fast forward again.
Mhm.
Now there's a mastering room back there,
Right.
and
A beautiful
man,
room.
it's a beautiful sounding room also.
Mhm.
And it's amazing the difference, people, and I'm especially talking to those who record. There's a significant difference between the recording and what you're hearing when you're mixing, depending on your room,
Yeah.
depending on your room. But then when you have a mastering room, that the room is set up so that you can hear everything. Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness, night and day.
That's
And
right.
Jerry's smiling over there
That's
because
right.
we have together and individually been able to hear the significant difference with in that mastering room placement. Mud.
Yeah.
People talk about mud in your mixes. The clarity, the
That's right.
spread, the width. Oh my goodness, should have done it a long time ago. So I'm saying all that to say is that likewise, besides just the recording aspect, we also have the mastering room. We're mastering in the box at this time, mastering in the box.
Yeah.
Either you know what I mean or either you don't when I say I'm mastering in the
Well,
box.
I'm getting ready to segue into that, but because the first question I want to ask as a bridge is, what do you feel? And it's just been, I don't know, 11, 12 weeks now. But what do you feel as you have recorded on so many recordings, different artists? You have also been the mix engineer. So what do you feel as you're stepping into this role as this entire new approach into mastering? Is that a night and day process to you, or how do you bridge that gap?
How about a little bit of both? It's a night and day because it's honestly not the same thing, and you bridge that gap via the understanding that they are two separate things. They're
It's
two
another
separate,
science.
it's
Yeah.
a whole nother science where you want to get everything sounding right when you mix it. And then when you send it to the master or when you're going to master, that master's job is just to bring what you have already done well and make it better. And that's when they say put that shine. And you're gonna lift it if it needs to be lifted. And I'm talking about the volume. Of course, you want to have that radio or CD MP3 volume. That's the easy part. But just bringing out those little nuances of the music that make that music even more listenable
Yeah.
than your mix.
Yeah.
And the little things that you might think that are hidden, being able to bring it out and individualize it. And so it's an art.
Yeah.
It takes time. Um, but when you do it right, oh my goodness, you can definitely hear the difference. And it's about
And you've really heavily invested into that room too, with the acoustic treatment, with the speakers that you chose, with the equipment, the preamps and whatnot. Do you want to speak a little bit to that? Because I have another question I want to ask you. But do you want to speak a little bit as to why you chose the speakers that you did, the preamps that you did?
Yeah, you know what? Actually, that's the important thing. That this is one of those places when you talk about mastering, you're going to get what you kind of pay for. Okay, you get what you pay for, and not saying you have to use a lot of money, but if you're not using the right tools, you're not going to get to hear what you need to hear. So how I went about it was, of course, did some research, but more importantly, reached out to industry/industry professional and say, hey, what are they using in the major studios?
Right, right.
And um, without even hesitation, who I was speaking to, they're saying, okay, hey, if they don't have this, and this in the studio, either we're bringing it ourselves or we're not going to use that studio for mastering. Um, and so it was kind of like a given. Then just doing research and looking at people's gear lists as to what they're using in their mastering room,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
it became kind of self-evident real quick as to what were the things that people are using that we know are successful and have been successful. Hey, why reinvent the wheel? Why reinvent
Exactly.
And on Derek, I could say his name,
Yeah.
On Derek's advice, and him saying, no, we don't step in the studio unless they have this and this and this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, enough said, because they're doing major things, getting that sound that I didn't say everybody,
Right.
and, putting it together. And the sound, like you say, the construction of the room and placing the panels and everything, man, it's a night and day difference. It makes me want to do some different things in the studio, in fact, so that we're closer already when we're mixing once we move to the mastering room. So yeah,
The next step.
Yeah.
So we can give Angel Lopez some love here too, because he helped in the acoustic treatment and making sure the room was tuned.
Yes.
Much love to him.
He came and likewise, another brother who's been doing a Hispanic brother, okay, who's been doing music for a while and has done a lot of Latin and Hispanic music. And he came right on in, and Angel, he knew exactly what was supposed to happen, showed me what to do, helped me do what I needed to do. And again, from that blank room to to the room that is, for me, is perfect. It's perfect for our room.
It is.
And the difference was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You know, here, listen to what I'm about to say, people. Listen to what I'm about to say. Because we'll hear different people say things about, you know, you need to consider this and just do these little things, and you'll say, it ain't gonna make no difference. Guess what? It makes a difference. It makes a difference. So
tiny little tweaks.
Tiny, small things that you say, well, whatever. No. It makes a difference, especially when you're talking about that end product, the end product that you want. So
that's absolutely right. So now here's the next question, and I want to put the disclaimer in there that we're not sponsored by any of these companies, nor are we, quote unquote, outright endorsing them. I mean, maybe if they want to get in touch with us and say, yo, we want you to wear a t-shirt, yo, that might happen. But here's the thing, you have also been transformed when you begin this interview talking about the new music that you're writing from scratch. And for the long time, I don't know, since 2009, maybe 2008, we've been having this war between Cakewalk and Reason.
I know where you're.
It's been this battle between us. And so what we would do is, in the space that I have in my home studio, I made sure, and we were right on point with the licenses and everything, of making sure that I had Cakewalk, making sure that you had Reason, and depending on the project we were working on or the artist we were working with, making sure that everything was intertwined. But your life has taken the new role, because you have, without being an outright endorsement, there's been some transformation in the software that you now use. Let's talk about that.
Well, you're catching me off guard. Yes, you know what? I've been with Cakewalk since it was 12 tones, I believe it was. And, you know, they brought up through, and of course, now they're BandLab. Kudos to Cakewalk and BandLab. Have loved it. I can say this, and Jerry, he would be a witness. I kind of know it inside out. I know inside out. But there were some things that Reason could do that Cakewalk couldn't do, and then vice versa. So the guy on the other side, he's trying to get me to come to Reason. I'm trying to get him to stay. They do work together, and two great programs, and say that. But upon putting the mastering room in, and this is an Angel thing. Likewise, my nephew Brandon and his studio, they've been talking about the Personas Studio One, and you know, I'm like, I ain't gonna be in it. Oh my goodness! Until this is why I say it's those little things. So I guess I'm talking to myself. I'm sorry, BandLab. I'm still going to use you. And I'm sorry, because I'm still using you. But it has gone now over to Studio One Professional. There is absolutely nothing that you can't do.
That's true.
In Studio One. That's true. Saying this to the point of that has actually been my inspiration in the music that I've been writing and creating, because I can go into Studio One and go boom, 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 and wow, it's there. What else can I say? But I have to say this. It's also because I have worked with BandLab and because I have worked with Reason that the transition, it hasn't been a big, transition. So kudos, Cakewalk, BandLab, kudos to Reason. Right now, Studio One is the format. And yes, I'm a PC user. If anybody's saying you must not be on Mac. Mac PC, a WAV file is a WAV file.
That's right.
If you can capture it clean and you know what to do with it, you can get what you need to get. But I didn't know you were going to go there, but
had to go there because and I can say this and put you on the spot again that from the time that I've known you, I've only known the engineering side, the production side of Jerry Thompson. I heard about the Songwriter,
Yeah.
but I've never seen the Songwriter until these recent weeks in Studio One. And, you know, every time I'm talking to you now, you're working on new music, you're working on a new song. And
Yeah.
that's because of the access that you have, not the access, but the application to
Yes.
Studio One and how it works with your
Yeah.
spirit, you know.
Yep. It is. It has been great. Um, I'm smiling. I don't even know what to say off of that except for it. For me, from Reason, from BandLab, it does absolutely anything.
Yeah.
Um, and again, the learning curve is not a big learning curve.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's some different things you have to learn, but you're familiar. If you're familiar, and you know, I think about this, Jerry. I've been doing this since '87.
Mhm.
There's a difference. There's a difference, and sometimes we'll take for granted, as you do. And listen to what I'm about to say here. This is with Jerry B. He takes for granted what he knows about the music industry and how helpful he is to the musician and the EntreMusician. There's always questions, and we had this discussion not too long ago that people are always asking, and that has to do with the business side. And Jerry B, he knows it ins and out. I'm saying that to segue into me saying that's the same way with the recording side. And I take for granted those things that I actually know, and it seems like it's simple, but others don't know that. And so now those things that we know, those things that Jerry knows, now he makes it a value to you, to those who are watching, to those who are listening. There's value in what he's saying. And once you can give people value, that's what they need, and they'll keep coming back for more.
Certainly. That's certainly right. And I want to talk about that for just a little bit if you have the time. I just need a couple more minutes of your time. But with respect to Reason, with respect to Studio One, with respect to whatever platform that you're using, as Jerry said, a WAV file is a WAV file. But I can tell you the couple times that I've stood over your shoulders with respect to Studio One, I'm standing on the cliff of making an announcement, you know, myself. And the one thing I can say about, yeah, the one thing though I can say about Reason is the fact that, you know, if you're a Reason user, they have made their rack a VST. And so it works seamlessly in Studio One. And that has impressed me, and it may make my push a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know. But the one thing that I want to say, or, you know, as we round the bend toward home here, and I appreciate your time, Jerry, but here's the thing, bro. As EntreMusicians, we have found ourselves going back to this unfortunate COVID situation in a way that we need to think differently. And I'm about to do an entire video on just the business and how we've kind of hit the reset button as EntreMusicians. And we need to rethink everything. The way we do business is changing. You'll see a lot of streaming coming from EntreMusicians in their bedrooms or in their basements or in their garage. You know, from the top down, from top tier artists like a Fred Hammond to, you know, just Michael Jones, hypothetically speaking. You know, there's been this reset button that is hit. Do you have any advice to innovative thinking? Because one thing I know about you is you are a deep thinker. In this time where you don't know what to do and you kind of have to pivot from what you know, and I'll give you this one illustration to set you up. And what I'm asking of you is, what are your thoughts on innovative thinking for the EntreMusician? I know, and you know, we're going to keep their name anonymous. There is a very talented musician who teaches music theory at their community college, who plays for their church and receives income from that, and who gigs through the week and on the weekend. Now, all three of those switches have just been pulled. There's no college going on right now. There's no church going on right now. And there is no, gigging. So this person finds himself with all three sources of their income pulled and has to rethink. And I'm going to do a video on this particular situation. But what would you say to the entre musician, whether they're a singer, whether they're an artist, however they're involved in the industry, that they have to pivot? What would you say?
Um, right now is the time to take advantage of what we're doing right here. How important the platforms that are out there that are made available so that those big name artists can do what they're doing. Why shouldn't us small people or you or those entre musicians, you're seeing them do it. They're showing you exactly what to do.
Exactly.
Here again, it's not about reinventing the wheel all the time. And it's not about being following after everybody, but they're showing us what to do. And it's just a matter of taking the time, making your platform. And you know what's so crazy is like right now I'm on my computer, and you're on the computer or, your camera, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But our phones is that platform.
That's true.
You don't need nothing special. And it just takes one person to hear what you're doing and how you're doing it to say, wow, there's something there that I haven't heard before. I need to hook up with that person. I need to grab that person. They got something that I've been looking for. So I don't know if I'm answering the question, but if you, that's like having the Cure watch. That's like having that Cure, and we'll say we're COVID right now. So let's say for COVID, and you're keeping it to yourself. Well, you have all that talent. You have what you can do, not trying to be anybody else. If you're keeping it to yourself, nobody else is going to hear it. Correct. And so use the platforms that are available for you to be able to be known. You could be as big. You could be as big as everybody else right now.
Am I right? Yeah, but it's flatlined.
Yeah.
Yeah, yep. It's been flatlined. There's a great equalization, and now is the jump off point to take this reset and really do something incredible. If I had more of your time, I would discuss ownership with you, but because I want you to come back on, I'll save that conversation for next time.
Yeah, I'm laughing because you know what? I'm not traveling for a while, so I'm moving over for a second. I'm not traveling for a while.
Yeah.
And so, I will. I'll be available.
That's excellent. Well, I appreciate you, man. This is Jerry Thompson. There are levels of entre musicianship, and he is really like here. I mean that wholeheartedly. I mean that respectfully. It's not just because I know you. It's because, but here's the thing. Because I know you and because I have access to you, I can see those things that motivate me and help me to be a better entre musician. I mean that with all my heart.
I appreciate that.
Peace and blessings to you. Hey, share this video, subscribe to the channel, and just hit this link and send it to everybody you know. This man right here, Jerry Thompson, is the entre musician. My name is Jerry B. I'm an entre musician, but guess what? So are you. We'll see you again next time. Peace and blessings to you.